Hi, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Farah Laurent. And today I have a very special guest. I have Dr. Katie Boston Leary. Such a pleasure to have you on. Been following you for so long. You're so amazing. You're like a living nursing legend.
Oh,
Um, you know, she is the Senior Vice President of Equity and Engagement at ANA, and held so many various titles like CNO, Nurse Exec, national speaker. She speaks all over the place. So, such a pleasure to have you on today. If you want to say hello and introduce
yes,
yourself.
absolutely. Thank you for having me. And wow, call me a living legend. That's really no one's ever called me that before, so I'm very honored. And we met on LinkedIn and invited you. We met in person at the screening for Everybody's Work. You
In
came, and
DC.
it was
Yeah.
magic, right? So
Yes. It was absolutely so much fun. And today we're going to talk about, for those of you watching, let us know where you're watching from, say hello, put any comments in the chat that you may have, even if you're watching the replay, because I'll go back and answer some of the questions. But I wanted to talk about today, we're going to talk about nurturing the nurse, wellness beyond the work, because a lot of times we get so wrapped up in nursing because that's really what we love to do, but it almost becomes like part of our lives. It's very hard to kind of dissociate ourselves from the work. I wanted to kind of ask you, since you're also leading a lot of, you were leading a lot of these programs like Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation. What has kind of been your early career as a novice nurse? Some tips that you can give to other nurses out there starting their career in terms of wellness?
yeah, that's a great question. There are a number of things that I would like to tell my younger self, right, when I
Mhm.
first started out, because I felt that initially, new entering into the profession, really new in that transition, I felt that I had to prove myself
Mhm.
in a number of respects, right? Because you go through proving that you can finish the program, and then you finish the program. You don't want to be seen as book smart but not skill smart, right? So um, and you have to combine both of these things, once you get into practice. So that was a tough thing, and I put a lot of pressure on myself unnecessarily, because I felt that my ditch was deeper than other people for whatever reason. It could be because of how I entered into the profession, where I went through a lot of challenges, and finally I made it through. So um, it seemed relevant, and sometimes it would seem relatively easier for some people versus others.
Yep.
Then you question yourself. That imposter syndrome starts to creep in, especially when people start trusting you and calling you based on what they think you should be versus where you think you are. So you put so much pressure on yourself. So what I would tell my younger self and my novice self would be that it's okay to not know everything. It's
Mhm.
okay to ask for help. It's okay for people to know that I'm still a work in progress. And honestly, I really don't have anything to prove to anyone at this point, because I just went through the most one of the most rigorous programs that exists academically, and I got through, and that should be enough. And given that I am enough, while I'm trying to also build to be a better person overall, in addition to being a better nurse every day.
Yes, I love that. You touched upon so many things that I think a lot of novice nurses and even experienced nurses still go through today as they're transitioning, right? Through different roles, whether it's leadership, education. I feel that even though we're one of the most well educated professions, right, in terms of advanced degrees and certifications, we sometimes have that doubt, like you said, that creeps in like, ooh, am I enough? Like maybe I should get this next certification and get this next thing just to kind of prove myself. But I think that's great, especially for novice nurses coming out of school, because a lot of them are afraid to ask for help, like you mentioned, because they think that if they come out as a new nurse, someone's going to think that they're not good enough to be an emergency nurse or a critical care or wherever they start. And they don't want to ask for help because they're going to think, "Oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be here and I don't want to ask." But that's when you start you fall down the wrong path and you don't feel supported and all that stuff. So those are great points. So I wanted to ask, what are some self-care routines that you have in place currently? Because I know this is different for everybody. And I think everyone needs to find what works for them. But what are
Mhm.
some tips and what are some things that you do currently now for self-care?
Yeah, and again, I'm still learning. And you can see I'm in my car doing this interview, but it's really because I had a really busy week, and I totally forgot that I had a funeral to go to. My mom called me, and she was like, "Where are you?" I was like, "Ah!" So I sprinted and got in my car, and I headed there. But I'm pulled over to have this conversation because this is
Thank you.
important, and this is a homegoing. This is for someone that has been suffering for some time. So they've been released from that bondage. So we're celebrating their going home. But I think the I've always say, the gate to self care is self love. You have to love yourself to care for yourself, and then caring for yourself is, a team sport. It's not
Yeah.
only up to you. So you have to have people in your orbit to remind you when things get busy, to pull you over and pull you aside when things get busy, and sometimes even force you
Hmm.
to do things for yourself or with others. So I'll tell you, one of the things that I try to do every day is to listen to something that pours into me. It could be a podcast, it could be a sermon online, it could be a song. Uh,
Hmm.
I have a habit where whenever I travel, because I travel a lot for work, when I get to my destination, I always, as soon as I put my bags down the room, I turn my one of my favorite songs on. I have my Beyonce playlist that I'll play.
Yes.
And I also have a thing where if my favorite song is playing in my car while I'm in transit, and I
Yeah.
get a call, I have to finish my song. Like unless, and if I get a second call back, now of course when it's your kids, that's a whole other thing. Like it's like, oh,
Yes.
you never know. But if it's something else and it wasn't planned or scheduled, my song, I have to finish my song. I also realized too that my juices flow, creativity juices flow when on Sundays, and I for a while I couldn't figure out why that was, but I realized the reason that happens on Sundays is because usually it's when it happens, right? So it's right after church, and all of a sudden I have a flight of ideas, and I always keep like my notes thing open where I'm like writing a number of things in my notes in my phone. And I
Mhm.
realize the reason that happens, and the reason that happened is because there's always these zones that we're in all the time, where we're in the performance zone or we're in the growth zone,
Right.
and most of the time we're in the performing zone. And when you're in the performing zone, you're not being creative. You're not doing a lot of different because you're trying to get things done. But the
Hmm.
growth zone is what happens to me on Sundays, where someone is pouring into me. And then all of a sudden, I'm flowing with a lot of things that, I thought were barriers or I couldn't get to or were difficult. All of a sudden, they're not. So that's, to me, that's proof that we have to make sure we get in spaces where we are poured into and we're not pouring out all the time.
Yeah, I love it. And it's also a time of whether you are sitting in church or whether you're listening to a podcast, right? Like you
Yes.
mentioned, it's a time of almost like stillness, right?
Mhm.
Like you said, you're not in go mode or
Yeah,
work
that's a
or
great point. Yep, that's
yeah.
it. That stillness piece, and also, the other things too. I spending time with people that love me, and the the team sport part of it too. I have a circle of I have like 4 or 5 circles of friends, which is hard to manage. But but every now and then you get the message like, we haven't gotten together in a while. When are we going to go to a dinner to eat dinner? Or we'll have this group chat, and one of us will get like a great restaurant that just opened in our feeds. It's like, okay, when are we going? Like even this
Yeah.
just this morning, got this new restaurant that came across my feed that opened in DC, and I said, "Oh, guys, when are we going? Let's do this. Let's set a date." Because you can
Yeah.
find yourself talking about, "Yeah, we'll do it," and then so all these things, we need other people to help us be better, not just in general, but to ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's why it's that team sport approach as well that we need for us to continue to take care of ourselves, because we can't do it alone.
Yeah, and that's so true. And it brings me to somebody that I talk to sometimes here on LinkedIn. Her name is Kirby, and I'll shout out her idea. She's a psych NP and she has her own business now. But she mentioned something in a post once that where you have to like schedule self care.
Mm-hmm.
and and she has like a jar. I think she said that she'll pull out different self-care activities and just scheduling it, right? Like even me,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would do like monthly massages, so like it forces you to go because it's
Yeah.
scheduled, right?
Yeah. And the other
um,
thing too, to that point, is sometimes self-care is doing nothing. And
yeah,
I remember I used to have this thing where, because I'm busy most days of the week, if I had a day off, then I'll make it chock full with all these things that I should do that I couldn't get through to because I'm working. So it's like, let's get all my appointments in here, and let's make sure like we don't, to your point, Ferris, celebrate the stillness. And sometimes it's okay to be home and just be in your pajamas and
yeah,
just be.
yeah.
And I had to learn that, because I really think that I had to have productive days off, where if
Mhm.
I'm off, that's the time where I should do all my appointments, call everybody that I hadn't called in a while, and things like that. And my husband told me, it's like, what are you doing? And I would think, oh, I failed. It's like, I failed on my day off. I didn't get to make my appointments, and because I'll call all these doctors' offices to see whether they could put me on a waiting list to get me in that day. So he was like, what are you doing? It's your day off. Just do nothing. And that was a lesson for me. So it's okay to be in the stillness and do nothing. That is self-care too.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're right, right? Especially with us having families and different things going on. There's this one person I used to work with. She was in patient experience, and she said, sometimes I'll just book a hotel and go by myself without my kids or my husband just to go sleep.
Yeah.
She's like, just to have some time alone, right? So getting back to music, because I love music. I was actually just dancing in the car to one of these new songs. With my daughter was in the back because she's sick today, so she's with me. She's doing better though, but music. You mentioned Beyonce. I know you went to the Beyonce concert. I didn't go to
Yeah.
that one.
3 times. 3 concerts in 1 week. I mean, in 1 year. Yes. And people ask, well, why did you do that? I said, because I could. And not only did I do that, I was watching online whenever she would go to another city, because I wanted to see what outfit she was going to wear. So I was always watching the next concert online, and I make no apologies. I'm a fan.
Yes. I actually got to see her early on in her career and saw Destiny's Child in Detroit and saw her in Brooklyn when she was wearing like the all blue sparkly. I
Mm.
forgot what tour that was, but that was a while back. But yes, I'm a big Beyonce fan too. But like, what specific song right now are you like jamming to?
Beyonce song or just in general?
Or whatever, in general, or Beyonce?
I have to be careful because there's some songs that I should not share. But listen, so let me say
You're
this.
on the nursing dose. Come on, give us the
All right,
dose.
we're family. We're family. And I see Frankie Beverly's Happy Feelings, absolutely.
Yes.
So this is not a Beyonce fan, but he's a Beyonce. He's in the Bayhive, but um not like us is my one of my I like that, Kendrick Lamar. It's like,
Okay. Okay.
I love
Okay.
that song. I also listen to some of her old songs, like Big Ego, and Upgrade You, and
Okay. Okay.
Single Ladies. Like it depends on my mood, but I
Yeah.
feel that I can find a Beyonce song for every single mood that I experience. Like
Yes.
there's just one for every. So I'll just go through my phone and say, "Yep, this is the one today," and it
You
just
know,
works.
I had two things. I had Meaty on last time, and it was what is that song? This ain't Texas,
Yeah,
whatever.
just
That's
hold them.
she told
Yeah,
me that
Texas Hold'em.
she was
Yeah.
listening. Yes, yes. But you know what I did with Sade? I went to Chicago to see her, and I went to Toronto. So I went
Oh
to two
my
concerts
gosh.
a month. So we're kind of there together.
And
So I
listen,
love.
if she tours again, I'm definitely going. I haven't seen her live, and I that's some, and she's not performing much or if any anymore. But I would love to see her live for sure.
It was
I
the
always
Soldier of
had a dream to see Prince live, and then he passed away, and that's when I said, no more. I'm not. I'm going to stop getting to the place of thinking about it. I'm just going to do it. So
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I love concerts. Um, it's like music. I feel like is therapy for me, and like dancing. Like I'll be dancing in the car. People are looking at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care. Like that's my
yeah,
stuff.
I love live music. I can listen to almost anything live except for headbanger rock music. That I tried that, and I did try that. I had some friends that took me to a rock concert, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go!" Because I'm like live music, and I was like, "Oh, this is not good for my brain." I could only do it for a while, but then after I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm good now."
Really, I love. You know what I love? The all day concerts. So I went to like
Mhm.
an all day R&B concert in Toronto. That
Oh,
was amazing. And then I went to Afro Fest in Brooklyn, which is all about music. And I got to see Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill was performing.
oh, nice. Was she on time? Was she on
Yes,
time?
she was on time. She was on time. Yes, I love this. This is guys, we're getting the true what do they call you? The KBL. The KBL. We're getting the true KBL here. I love it. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to ask you, like how you're like a ninja. Like how are you in all these places at once? Like you travel quite a bit for speaking. Like what's your schedule look like for traveling? Cuz I see you here and then like next day you're over there somewhere. Like how are you managing that?
It's not easy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying different things to make sure I don't like book myself in two places at the same time. That happened once last year, which it was like that I felt so awful. I had to cancel, and then I've also traveled to the wrong city. But the good news that I got to my destination on time because I usually travel the night before so I can settle and immerse myself in my surroundings before I go do a talk. I try not to do a talk and drop in and run out. I
Mhm.
try to like really get to know the people that I'm speaking to and the area that no, I someone said I had the most sky miles. Um, I don't know that I can say that I have the most sky miles, but that's really nice. But anyway, it's hard for me to keep up with, but I'm doing a better job. And one thing I'll say is, if you see something posted on LinkedIn, don't realize it's never the same day that I'm there. I
Okay.
usually post a day or two after.
Mhm.
Now, but if someone else posts, because that could happen, then
Yeah.
it could be that I'm there right then and there. But usually, I will never post where I am currently in sitting because I my husband told me that um, um, and he's a retired colonel, and he says,
Mhm.
Katie, if you keep posting places you're at while you're there, we can get robbed. So do not do that because we don't want
Okay.
people to come in and rob our homes while thinking that nobody's at home. So that's why I just don't. I
Okay.
just follow. I try to listen to him sometimes, and that's the one thing that I've listened to. So I don't post when I'm somewhere, and sometimes it's cumulative because I get busy, and so then
Mhm.
I'll just line them up. But it doesn't mean that so it really gives a false impression that I'm
Yeah.
somewhere, but doesn't mean I do have a very rigorous schedule, and sometimes especially with conference season it gets really busy, but
Yeah.
that's the best part of my job because I get to meet people, have discussions with them. I don't want to be in my own echo chamber, uh,
Yep.
thinking that I have the answers and just, listening to reading and from, what I should present. I want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be your voice, which in some cases I am when it comes to advocacy work or doing press or articles, I want to be able to speak for you authentically. So that's why I love being able to get out there and speak to people and engage with you and understand what I may be getting wrong and what I need to relearn. I remember I was talking to a nurse about med surge and saying that how med surge is a backbone of all the other specialties, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a low acute setting where you can hone your skills. And this nurse said, Katie, what are you talking about? Like, this is not your mother's med surge. Med surge is like step down ICUs. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, okay. I will not say that anymore. And it turns out every time I share that, I would hear that from people. It's like, yeah, med surge is not the old med surge. It's
Right.
highly acute because acuity has gone up. So that's why it's good to
Mm-hmm.
get out and talk to people, right? And really
Right.
test what you know and learn from them, because I'm a sponge. I want to hear what you're dealing with, what you're going through, how I can help you, what needs to be amplified, what needs to be turned down, how we can come to agreement in nursing around
Mm-hmm.
all the things that we struggle with, because we're not on the same page, unfortunately, with a lot of the issues that we face.
Right.
And I would love for us to, that's my vision someday, is for us to have one voice for a lot of the issues that we face.
Yeah. I mean, those are all some great points you mentioned. And I think, talking about wellness and self care and nursing in general, there's a common thread that we're always talking about, right? Like nurses understand nurses best. And I
Mhm.
think you mentioned a lot about supporting each other, listening to each other, celebrating each other. And really, like any programs we've gone through or even post graduation, we maintain a lot of those friendships because truly nobody understands us like each other, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's important. And to me, it's also a form of self care and like mental health and emotional health when nurses support each other and
Mhm.
really just talking about your experiences and things like that. But I wanted to get back to traveling. I love traveling too, but like, what are your top, let's say, couple cities that you love to travel to?
Oh, that's good. Um, so I will say, Chicago is a city that I love because
Mhm.
I remember how surprised I was to know that there was a beach right in the city, like right there. Um,
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
oh yeah, just like city beach, like boop, right there, right? It's like and which was really really surprising and just beautiful at the same time. So you can get on you're on Magnificent Mile,
Hmm.
and you can just continue going further and you run right into the beach, right? It's not like,
Oh,
of course it's not like some of our more pristine beaches, but it's still a
right, right.
beach. And seeing the line, if you're in a high rise and or in a hotel, and you can see the line of the city and all these tall buildings and then the
Mhm,
beach, that just gives me joy. So that's one thing, especially in the summertime. It's just amazing.
mhm.
um what are my other cities that I love? I'll give you a state. Hawaii is one of my favorite states, and
Okay.
it takes a while to get to,
Yeah.
but it was a thing. It was a place that I would go to a lot with my husband, and thankfully, which is such a blessing. I've had work there a couple of times this year,
Mhm.
so I get to go to my favorite state and work, to work and play at the same time, and then. Um, I have so this is the other thing. Like, I could name some places in Florida, but because of all the stuff that's happening in Florida, I don't want to name it because. Uh,
I'm in Florida right now, so I moved. I didn't announce this, but I'm in the Tampa Bay area, so we're okay.
so you okay with
Yeah,
everything with
yeah,
Celine? Yeah.
we're okay. Yeah.
Good, 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 good. But Tampa is where one of my other favorite places as well, because there's good fishing there. My husband loves to fish and things
Mhm.
like that. But I'll say this: I go into every new city that I end up having to go to very wide eyed. I go in trying to learn, see, understand, because I think that all is part of what I need to helps with my message as well, right? Like
Mhm.
nurses are part of society, and when you go into certain cities, you want to understand where they live, whether they're at livable wage,
Mhm.
whether there's good housing, whether it's safe, in terms of crime, like all those things are what I try to learn when I go into new cities.
One of my favorite tips, or what I like to do when I go to new cities, whether it's like because I've traveled to Europe and different places, I like to collect postcards. It's like a geeky thing, but I like to go first to where all the postcards are because it
Mm,
highlights all the like. If you didn't get enough time to research the place, it highlights all the key places that you should really
yeah,
check.
yeah.
So that's like one thing
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean to that point, like I remember I had to go to Cleveland, and I hope people are not going to knock me for saying this, but I had to go to Cleveland. I'm like Cleveland, ugh. But I'll tell you, one of the best restaurant experiences that I had was in
Mhm.
Cleveland. And it was by accident. I was there with some colleagues. We said, let's figure out a place to eat, and then
Yeah.
we did our search, and then this came up, and we go in there. It was like, oh, what a gem! Like, so every city has gems, and we
Mhm.
just need to do
Mhm.
our job to find out where the gems are, and experience, um, what life has to offer, particularly when places that you don't expect.
Yes, I know. I mean, because there's always, and then things are always changing, right? Like you mentioned, like all restaurants popping up or different things
Oh
popping up.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And the great thing about the geo spotting that's happening with social media, you get to a city, all of a sudden you're looking at your social media feed, and it's showing you all these restaurants and places you can go. So
Yeah,
embrace all of that. Of course, check and make sure it's safe, but embrace all of
right.
that.
So
That's
what
what.
do you use? Like where do you hang out? Like which social media platforms
Oh
do you
my God.
Ooh, forget.
No, so you should rename this called like the Real Talk Nursing Dose with Farah, because we're just getting to real talk. So,
Yes.
so, so I don't do Snapchat because I'm at my limit with social media platforms.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so of course I do LinkedIn for professional stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so yeah, so I'll give you what's for what. So LinkedIn is for professional, Facebook is for family, Snapchat is for friends.
Okay.
Um, and well, not Snapchat. I'm sorry, Instagram, because I'm not on
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Okay. Okay.
Instagram is for friends, and the other side of me. So if I'm really having turn up fun, that's where I
Yeah.
am. That's
Okay.
why I don't necessarily typically engage people that I work with on Instagram, because
Okay.
that's where you see the other side, non-professional side of me. Now, it doesn't mean I'm doing anything ratchet. Let's get that out of the way. It just means that this is just where I let my hair down and
I love it.
really, truly enjoy life.
Yes. But I loved how like when you went to the Beyonce concert, you posted that on LinkedIn. So that was cool because
Yeah, I went with a colleague, and that's the first time I went to a
yeah.
concert with a colleague of mine, but and Dr. Stephen Davis. But I found out that he was a Beyonce fan too, so I ended
Mhm.
up having an extra ticket, and the tickets are really expensive. And
Yeah.
I said, who can I go that I have fun with? And I needed to know a Beyonce fan that I could go with. And he was available,
Right.
so I asked him to come, and we had a great time. And we dressed for the occasion, and we had a great time. And then after I did that, my daughter then says, "Mom, are we going to the Beyonce concert?" I was like, "I didn't know that you want to go," so I had to buy another. I didn't. So yeah,
Yeah.
I went 3 times, and I'll do it again.
That is awesome. And then I wanted to ask, what hobbies do you have? There's something else I want to ask since we're talking about wellness and self care. So, like, I love like obviously traveling, going to the beach, photography, that type of stuff, spending time obviously with the kids and things, and collecting my postcards. And I love going to stand up comedy. So, like, what are some of your things that you like? And
So,
of course,
I
eating.
always struggle with that question because the word hobby doesn't fit me anymore,
Okay.
because I don't like doing same things.
Okay.
I like doing different things. I like exploring.
Hmm.
So I do read a lot.
Okay.
I do listen to podcasts. And I like finding different things to do that would, um, fill my bucket in terms of how I can, fill this spirit of mine, right? Because, the body is an encasement. And all the things that we do for ourselves is to really build our spirit, right?
Mhm.
So anything spirit building that doesn't have a lot of risk where I could die from it, I'm all in for.
Yes.
So I'm all about new experiences and new things. My son, who's 30, invited me to travel with him to Mexico City.
Okay.
Was it this year? Late last year. And
Mhm.
it was amazing because I was able to see things in a different way. Of course, I packed wrong. I didn't do my research, so I packed all these bathing suits, and it was like, oh, it's not even about that. Is there are no beaches there? It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of art, old buildings, places to go to eat well and drink well, and that's what we did. And I got in my first hot balloon ride, right? So there are
Hmm.
all these things that we should try to do, not get locked into what everyone else does, or from the last experience, like hack yourself into
Yeah.
doing different things to live life to the utmost.
I love it. And I love the word. I love that you said the word bucket because literally I wrote down on here and I remember I asked a couple other guests this. What is on your bucket list? Let's say top three things.
You are killing me. Like, you didn't even send me any. I should have
Listen,
made you send me
because this
questions.
is real. This is real. KBL. Come on, Dr. Katie Boston Lear. Let's go.
Oh my goodness. So, bucket list. I do want to go to the Met in New York. The
Okay.
which is that big
Mhm.
opera type
Yeah.
place. I want to experience that and do the whole thing, like big gown and everything. That's one thing
Mhm.
I want to do.
So
Um,
invite Dr. Boston Katie Leary to go. Okay. If anybody's got connections, invite her to go.
so I see Dr. McCamey is saying that it should be the DMPs of color. It's a shameless plug, Danielle. Thank you. But it's not on my bucket because I've been twice before. And yes, I will be going this time in October, I think
Oh,
the 19th to the 21st. So yes, I will be there. So yes, be there, be square. That's an awesome
oh,
conference.
I wish I could go. Maybe next year. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah, definitely. Put it on your calendar. Let's see. So what else? We talked about the Met, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I want to go to the Sphere in Vegas. So the
Okay.
big dome place
Uh-huh.
where it's like that 360 concert experience. That's another thing I like to experience, but I'm hesitant because I think I'll be in sensory overload, but I still want to try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then third, I think I do want to jump out of a plane. I do want to do that.
Okay.
I need to get to a point of being brave enough to do that with a parachute, of course, and with a professional jumper.
And with somebody attached.
Yes, yes. So those are my three. Those are my three.
I love it. My husband always talks about this. This was before we were married, but I was in Jamaica once in the grill. I don't know if you know Rick's Cafe, but I don't know how to swim. People jump off these cliffs, and I put a life jacket on and jumped off the cliff. So just a little, and I don't even know how to swim. That's why my two kids are in swimming classes. So yeah,
We should all go and do a swim class for sure. We should.
yes,
But the other
um,
thing, because I see Dr. McKinney put in Dubai, I do
yes.
want to do the flying dress thing. Where you go to Dubai and I think they have it in Greece too, where you
Is
have
it in
the
the desert or something?
um,
Greece, where it's like, yes, on top
yeah,
of
you
all the
have
white.
the flying dress experience where they put this colorful long gown on you and they blow a fan under it, I think, and
Yeah.
and then you're like flowing and looking like
Yes.
that'll be fourth on my list. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, oh my goodness. I absolutely loved our time together. I want to ask one last thing. What, I guess, advice or what tips do you want to give the nurses out there? Whether it's advocacy, self care, what's your message to everybody out there?
So I'll actually give you something that I heard years ago at church from my pastor, and he talks about how we need to stop living like carbon copies.
Okay. Okay.
There's only one of you,
Mm-hmm.
and there could only be one of you. So, given that, take care of you,
Mm-hmm.
because once you're gone, you're gone. So, and at the same point, don't try to be a copy of anybody else.
Yeah.
You are your own person, and you are enough. And we have to continuously tell ourselves that we are enough. The world may try to make it seem as if you're not, but with the premise that there's only one of you, and that you deserve so much that life can give, and that you deserves all that life has to offer, and the fact that you needs to have other people experience you.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one you, and just live like it every day.
Listen to a whole sermon, KB.
She's on one. I don't know what's going on with her today.
Yes,
Danielle,
listen.
Danielle is Danielleing, obviously.
Spoken from the heart. I truly believe that, because I really think that not just nurses, but I think people in general, they really, like you said, it sounds cliche, but they don't get out there and do what they want to do because for different reasons, fear of judgment, they don't want to take risks. They think people are going to think, oh, what is she or he doing? Or who do they think they are? Or whatever, right? So you, like you said, like, especially context, right? You're just coming from a funeral and celebrating someone's life, right? Like you said, like no one's gonna go and be on their, in their bed, like in their last minutes and say, you know what, I wish I worked more, right? Like you want to be able to do what it is that you want to do. So I love it. Oh
Yeah,
my
and
god,
I'll give you one more tip. I'll give you one more
yes,
tip.
bring it on. Yes.
They say when you're born, you look like people in your family, right? Your mom, your dad, or someone in your family line. But when you die, you live like your choices. You look like your choices. So your
Ooh,
choices are reflected in what you look like when life is
wow.
over. So choose wisely.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's been such an amazing pleasure. Thank you for your time. And we'll have to do it again, but this time I'll, I'll send
Yeah,
you a
and give
question.
me the questions ahead of time, so I'm
No,
not
there's
sure.
no questions ahead of time. This is all real and authentic right here. Everybody knows that's been on the show. There's no script, no pre-questions. So
Um,
again,
no, it's
thank
fun,
you
actually.
so much.
And thank you for all that you do for nursing. You're doing some amazing stuff, and I watch you all the time. So,
Oh,
um,
thank you so much. That means so much.
if,
Um, I've been following you for years and you just inspire so many. So, thank you so much. And thank you to all the people that have come with all the comments and all the replays that you'll watch. And we'll have to have you back on again. So, thank you and have a great day, everybody. And subscribe to the Nursing Dose on YouTube and Spotify. And follow Katie on LinkedIn. And if you want her to speak, I know you're always speaking everywhere.